Are these the AirPods Max biggest competitor? Okay, so the FoKus Apollo, and I'm reading this from the website, the FoKus Apollo is Noble's first foray into the world of over-ear headphones. That's interesting immediately. These guys are normally known for very high-end in-ear earbuds. They're basically one of the brands that you go to if you want audiophile earbuds. They're also $100 more expensive than the new AirPods Max. I've got lots of questions. One of them centers around, well, mainly centers around the audio, because these FoKus Apollo have one very unique setup in here. In theory, means they should blast these and several other headphones at this price point out of the water. But do they? Before I get started, although this video isn't sponsored, a very quick mention of Brain FM. It's an amazing app that I use every single day to keep me productive. It basically pipes music into your ears and keeps you concentrated, keeps you focused. I can't guarantee it will definitely do that. They can't guarantee that, but I've used it for over 3 years now, and I can't write without it. I can't do anything where I need to really knuckle down and get into something without Brain FM. It's unbelievable. I've also got an amazing deal for you if you click the link below, and I do get a kickback if you go ahead and sign up. That's all I'm saying. Go and check it out. And now let's talk about the FoKus Apollo and the AirPods Max. Okay, let's run through the specs of the FoKus Apollo. I will need to read these from here because, well, you'll find out why. They've got the world's first 40mm dynamic driver and 14.5mm planar magnetic hybrid driver speaker arrangement. Basically, they've got 2 drivers in each ear cup. In terms of codecs, they support LDAC, AAC, aptX, aptX HD and SBC. There's also 3 microphones per side for active noise cancelling and transparency mode. They've got Bluetooth 5.3 with multi-point connectivity. There's a removable boom mic, which means you can attach a mic to it for gaming and telephone calls. They've got 80 hours of playtime with ANC turned off and 60 hours with it turned on. The accessories are quite impressive actually. It's got an EVA carrying case, it's got a 3.5mm auxiliary cable, USB-C cable, 2-pronged airline adapter, 1/4-inch adapter for headphone amps, and a 3.5 to 4.4mm adapter, and that detachable boom mic that I mentioned a moment ago. Quite a hefty spec list. And the AirPods Max, well, very quickly, they have an Apple-designed dynamic driver. They've got pro-level active noise cancelling. They've got transparency mode. They've got personalised spatial audio with dynamic head tracking, adaptive EQ, 9 mics in total, the Apple H1 chip, not the H2 chip, up to 20 hours of listening time with active noise cancelling enabled, Bluetooth 5.0, and that. In terms of pricing, the FoKus Apollo are $649 in the US. I don't have a UK price at the moment, but if I get that, I'll put that down below in the description. The AirPods Max are still $549 in the US and 500 quid in the UK. So there's basically, if you buy these in the States, a $100 difference between these and these. Let's talk about design, fit, comfort, all that sort of stuff. So these are a very expensive pair of headphones, and they should feel like an expensive pair of headphones. The good news is they do. They absolutely feel premium. They use anodized aluminium for the frame and memory foam, obviously, in these ear cushions, which are incredibly cushiony. They use premium protein leather on top of the ear pads, and this is Alcantara on the headband. Again, very comfy. If I put them on my head, sorry if I start shouting, being follically challenged, I can confirm that Alcantara headband is very comfortable. I've worn these for long listening sessions without any problem at all. And the ear pads, beautiful, really comfortable. But everything else about them, you know, that feels good. Lots of adjustment. They fold like that. They don't fold the other way, which doesn't happen anymore with headphones, but they do feel very premium. The controls, there's no touch controls, mercifully. There is just a bunch of play controls here, an ANC button. Very lovely pair of headphones to wear, and I think they look the part. The case is absolutely huge, which is a bit of a shame because it's a very good case. It's very tough. It's got this carry handle, which actually kind of helps a bit. It kind of justifies the size of this a little bit. I found myself walking around with it, walking around with my headphones like this, which you wouldn't want to do that everywhere, and you perhaps don't want to advertise the fact you're walking around with clearly quite an expensive pair of headphones. But just for going from the studio to the car and back, I've not really been that fussed about doing that. That said, if you do a lot of walking around your city or commuting to and from work, you want to chuck your headphones in your bag, and this will take up a lot of space. There's no getting away from that. It's a big case. Inside, it's very nice actually. It's got this lovely material here to protect the headphones. The only thing I did find is that there's only one little pocket here, one little hole to put stuff in, and it can fit the cables, and that's about it. So the pouch with all the extras you have to kind of just put on top or put in your bag separately. Worth bearing that in mind. But they have been very generous with the extras. So a very good headphone cable, 3.5mm headphone cable, good quality USB-C to USB-C cable, the aforementioned boom mic, which if you do lots of gaming and that sort of stuff, you'll enjoy. I wouldn't use it personally, but that's one of those things. The airline adapter, which you so rarely get that these days. Big, is it the 1/4 inch big headphone adapter? That's good. And this one, which I think is a bit more audiophile-y, but again, very generous with the stuff. It's all very nice material. Yeah, I think you are getting good value for money. I just wish the case was a little bit smaller. AirPods Max, just very quickly, very premium. They still, I'll let you be the judge of this in the comments, but I think they still sit on my head, again, being follically challenged, better than any other pair of headphones I've worn, because they don't stick out quite as much as headphones like these. These are more regular. These aren't regular in design, and for that reason, Apple has done quite a good job. They're quite unique. They're nice and flat against your head. They are comfortable, but they're very heavy. They're heavier than the FoKus Apollo. So again, for long listening sessions, these are far more comfortable. And these have an unnerving feeling that if you lean forward or lean backwards, they might fall off your head. I've never liked that with the AirPods Max. A lot of people have said they're just too heavy. But they are comfortable. They're comfortable, I'll give them that. The canopy is comfortable to begin with. I have had issues with my older AirPods Max where the canopy has loosened over time, which isn't great, but there you go. But these are a very premium feeling pair of headphones. Again, they don't have touch controls, which is fantastic. If I had to pick one winner out of these two for controls, it would be the AirPods Max, because they have the digital crown, which is a brilliant way to interact with audio playback and volume. Yeah, they're both premium looking. They are absolutely premium looking, but in terms of one winner for design and comfort, it is the FoKus Apollo, because you can just wear these for a long time and they don't really get very wearing at all. You don't get fatigue. With these, you do. Audio quality. Now the testing for this was done on the iPhone 16 Pro Max with Apple Music and with high-res music turned on, all that sort of stuff. That was the baseline, which I know isn't the best. I know if I used Android, we'd get access to the codecs that these have and that these don't have, but that would make it a weird comparison. So I just kept it very fair in that respect. And let me very quickly talk about the dual driver setup in here. So these have a regular dynamic driver, which looks like any kind of speaker, that cone-shaped thing that we all know and love. And they have that alongside a planar magnetic driver. And a planar driver, I mean, my knowledge of this isn't fantastic, but basically a planar driver is flatter than a regular dynamic cone driver. And because it's flatter, and it has magnets, I think, spread across most of it, it has a much more uniform movement. As a result, it's more precise. So when it comes to mid-range, mid-range and top-end stuff on the spectrum, they're just much more controlled. They give you more detail for those mids and highs. It's just a much more realistic and accurate reproduction of whatever it is you're listening to. The one thing that planar drivers aren't quite as good at is the low-end stuff. It's the bass, it's the sub-bass, because they can't move quite as much air as a dynamic driver. I think that was quite a good explanation. But basically, most headphones, including the AirPods Max, most consumer noise-cancelling headphones, just have dynamic drivers. They just have those big cone drivers in there, which means that big cone has to do everything. Low end, mid-range, and the highs as well. And because of that, you can lose a bit of detail, it can get a bit muddy, etc, etc. It's just trying to do too much. The fact that Noble has decided to put two types of driver in here is quite a statement, and it does speak of their heritage, which, as I mentioned at the start of this video, is all about audiophile in-ear monitors or earbuds. The question is, does that make a difference? And I should point out that I'm not an audiophile. If I was an audiophile, I'd sit here and explain all the intricacies of what that planar driver is doing, but I can't do that because I don't understand them. I don't have those ears. But I can tell you that these definitely sound less compressed than something like the AirPods Max or any other headphone really that has regular dynamic drivers. The music can just breathe a bit more. And if you really listen, you can tell. What I will say is that these sound fantastic straight out of the box. I didn't do any EQing. There's an app that you can do stuff with, but I didn't bother with any of that. I just listened to them out of the box. And out of the box, these are a fabulous sounding pair of headphones. And the other thing that was very interesting is that they play very well for all different types of music that I tried. So classical stuff, electronic, R&B, pop, rock. They just dealt with everything without me sitting there thinking, oh, they're a bit more tuned towards, whatever genre. Again, I think that's down to the driver configuration in these headphones. They just have more room to breathe. It is a grown-up sound. I've said this before with certain expensive headphones like the Focal Bartis and even the Bowers & Wilkins PX8s, that they're not very coloured, so they don't have much of an EQ applied to them, whereas something like, let's say, the Sony XM4s, they have a very heavy EQ applied to them for lots of bottom end and all that sort of stuff. So if that is your kind of sound, if you like a very exciting, in-your-face, smash your doors down sound, you're not going to get that from these unless you EQ them, really. That isn't for everyone. I totally get that. But if you're the sort of person who wants to sit there and really listen to everything and hear things in the music that you love that you've never heard before, that's where headphones like these make a ton of sense. And yes, you can listen to these wired, so you've got the 3.5mm headphone cable, but also you can use the USB-C cable, attach that to, for example, your MacBook, and then listen to proper high-res audio via these. AirPods Max, interestingly, fared quite well against the FoKus Apollo. I can't believe I'm saying that. I kept going between them on different tracks, and I could notice a difference, but it wasn't quite as big as I thought it would be. The best way to describe the difference between these two headphones is that the AirPods Max are just brighter, and at times it's a bit too much. They're just a bit too... And Apple doesn't really let you EQ them. You can change, there's some preset EQs on the iPhone, on iOS, but you can't you can't really tweak them to your liking. So you're kind of stuck. But on the right tracks, these actually sounded very good against these. These clearly, like I said, had less compression and all that sort of stuff because of the driver setup. But these fought fairly well. I was actually impressed with the AirPods Max when it came to that sound. And we should remember that these have spatial audio. They've got the dynamic head tracking where you move your head around and the sound stays over there. They've got Dolby Atmos support. They've got all of the Apple ecosystem stuff as well built into them. So these do have a lot going for them in terms of, how do I put it, multimedia? That sounds very 90s, but you know what I mean. They have other functions which these don't have. These are very much a listening pair of headphones. The thing that you can't do with the AirPods Max anymore is listen to them wired. So on the previous version, you could connect a horrible cable that Apple sold, which was basically lightning to 3.5mm headphone jack, and you could then plug that into a device and listen to them wired. You can't do that on the new USB-C version at the moment. So at the time of filming, if you plug the USB-C cable that comes with these into your iPhone, for example, or your MacBook, you can't play audio through it. And the reason for that is that that cable doesn't have a DAC, a digital analog converter, built into it. If that is your kind of thing, you need to get these. Noise cancelling. The AirPods Max win. It's as simple as that. The FoKus Apollo do have good noise cancelling. You don't put them on your head and think, I can hear everything, what's going on. It does dampen the world around you. It's just not as comprehensive as this. Noise cancelling, as is the case with both of these headphones, if the noise cancelling is partly using the drivers inside the headphones to do the noise cancelling, that does impact the sound a little bit. So what you often find, and Bowers & Wilkins have said this, they explained this in a press conference recently, that they err on the side of caution with noise cancelling. Noble haven't said that to me at all, but I would guess that's possibly what they do as well. They want to maintain as much sound quality as possible, which is why the noise cancelling on these just isn't quite as good as it is on these. Transparency mode, which is when you let the world in, these are the market leaders. I've reviewed so many headphones over the last 3-4 years, and none of them have transparency mode like the AirPods Max. And that means they are the best over-ear headphones for taking telephone calls. The FoKus Apollo, by comparison, it's okay. Their transparency mode will get the job done. You can hear yourself, you can hear the world around you. It's just nowhere near as good as these. But as I say, that is standard. I don't know why other brands can't match the AirPods Max when it comes to transparency mode. And that brings me to my big conclusion about these two headphones. I think it's quite straightforward. If you are an out-and-out Apple fan and you have to have everything Apple, you don't want AirPods, you don't want AirPods Pro, you don't want AirPods 4 for whatever reason, you've got no choice. You have to buy these. I just implore you to shop around a little bit and take your Apple blinkers off a little bit. If you're either an audiophile and you want, a pair of consumer type over-ear noise cancelling headphones, or you're just someone who loves music and you love really listening to your albums, sitting there for a couple of hours on a Sunday, really digging into your favourite band's back catalogue, get these. And no, they're not perfect. The case is massive and I can't find anywhere to put all these bits and pieces, but they're incredibly comfortable as well. Comfort and audio-wise, they are bang on. But I'd love to know what you think. What would you go for out of these two and why? And yes, I will continue to compare the AirPods Max against other headphones going forward because I think we need to. Apple has re-released these, probably the best way of putting it, and we need to put them through their paces. And this is a great example of where they just can't quite match up to something like these when it comes to audio quality and comfort. And if you want to hear me ramble on a bit more about the AirPods Max, keep watching for a link to the next video.